Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is lecture number 22nd. The name of the paper is Literary Criticism 1. The book we'll study is On the Sublime by Longinus, and today we will discuss his historical background to Longinus. This lecture is specifically for the students of BS English 5th semester GDC PUBI, and it is also for the students of those colleges which are affiliated with Abdul Wali Khan University. Longinus is the writer, and the book he had written is On the Sublime. In this first paragraph of the historical background to Longinus, we will study that the age in which Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, and all these wonderful writers and philosophers lived was called Hellenic Age. It was also called the Classical Age of Greece, but this name was also used for it, Hellenic Age. This was a wonderful age in the sense that all the great philosophers, for example, Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, they lived in this age, and also the best dramatists like Aeschylus, Sophocles, Euripides, who were tragedians, they also lived in this age, and Aristophanes, who was a comedian, lived in this age, and the best of the poets, for example, Homer, also belonged to the same age. This age, which was called Hellenic Age or Classical Age of Greece, was the best of all ages, and they developed also a very nice and good system of democracy. That was the first democracy which was developed there, and this age has never been surpassed. Even nowadays, when people talk about literature or science or philosophy, they look up to this age called Hellenic Age. But this age came to an end with Aristotle. This glorious age ended with him. He was the last representative of that age called Hellenic Age or the Classical Age of Greece, the Golden Age. So this is what you learn in this paragraph. इस पैराग्राफ में हम सीखेंगे लॉन्जाइनस के ऑन द सब्लाइम के बारे में थोड़ा सा हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड, और हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड में इस पैराग्राफ में हमने ये सीखना है कि ये एज जिसमें अरिस्टोटल, सोक्रेटिस और प्लेटो ने वक्त गुजारा और लिखाई की, ये हेलेनिक एज या क्लासिकल एज ऑफ ग्रीस कहलाता था। इसमें ज़बरदस्त फिलोसफर्स जैसे हमने अभी नाम लिए अरिस्टोटल, प्लेटो और सोक्रेटिस, और दूसरे और ज़बरदस्त ड्रामेटिस्ट, ट्रेजेडियंस, सोफोक्लीज, यूरिपिडीज, एस्किलस, और बेहतरीन पोएट होमर जिसने ऑडिसी और इलियड जैसे एपिक्स लिखे। ये सारे इसी एज में रहे, हेलेनिक एज में, क्लासिकल एज में। और अब भी आजकल भी अगर कोई फ़लसफ़े की बात करता है और पोइट्री की बात करता है तो वो अब भी उन्हीं का ज़िक्र करते हैं और उनको फॉलो करते हैं। जैसे अभी हम ये पढ़ रहे हैं तो ये 21st सेंचुरी में हम उनको पढ़ रहे हैं और उनसे इंस्पिरेशन ले रहे हैं। तो ये एज ख़त्म हुआ अरिस्टोटल की मौत के बाद। ये इसका आखिरी रिप्रेजेंटेटिव हम कह सकते हैं कि था, और आखिरी यूनानी था जो इस ज़बरदस्त एज से ताल्लुक़ रखता था। A new era began with Alexander the Great. Alexander's father's name was Philip, and he started building an empire. Alexander also got involved in it. Alexander, as you already know, was Aristotle's pupil, his student, and Alexander had a very great respect for him. But he was not a philosopher. He was a conqueror, a fighter, and he conquered many different areas. However, he did not belong to Athens, Greece. He was not a Greek person. He belonged to Macedonia. So he was a Macedonian. But he liked the Greek civilization and he considered himself to be Greek. Uh, and he was proud of this fact that he called himself Greek after conquering many parts, which was his mission. His mission mainly was conquering different parts of the world, but he also had kept this in mind as a mission that he would civilize the other people as well, as he thought that the only civilized place is Greece, and the Greek were the highly civilized people, and the other people were barbaric and they were not civilized. So he went out to conquer different areas uh, and to civilize the people. He also conquered Greece, and after conquering Greece, he went on to conquer many other areas Syria, for example, Palestine, Egypt, Persia. He reached Multan, Pakistani area, and this was the area where the army and the army men, the soldiers, they felt homesick and they were reminded of their homes, their parents, their wives, and they were tired of this fighting. And they also believed that this place, Multan, was the end of the world because in the old maps it was shown that this area is the place where the world ends. So, as a result, the soldiers thought that they had conquered the whole area now and that they should return home because they were homesick and they were also tired. Uh, Therefore, they did not want to go any further. Alexander died at the age of 32 when he was in Baghdad, nowadays called Baghdad. Then the names were different. While traveling in these areas, he found out that the other people were also not barbarous and they had very good civilizations, and those civilizations were even older than the Grecian civilization. Egypt, for example, had older civilization. Indian civilization was also the older one. So he found out his mistake, that he was wrong in considering all the other people barbarous and considering only the Greek people as civilized. Now he kept another mission in his mind. He started thinking that he would combine all that was great and glorious in all civilization, that he will collect information about the glorious civilizations of the whole world, and then he would combine all these civilizations and their best qualities and will make his own civilization then. But as I said, he died at the age of 32 and he was unable to realize his dream. So, this was on the second paragraph we read. In this paragraph, let me do it in Urdu now. इस पैराग्राफ में हमने पिछले पैराग्राफ में हमने हेलेनिक एज की बात की जिसमें अरिस्टोटल, प्लेटो, सोक्रेटिस, यूरिपिडीज, एस्केलस, सोफोक्लीज, एरिस्टोफनीज और ज़बरदस्त राइटर्स थे और इस एज को हेलेनिक एज या क्लासिकल ग्रीस एज कहा जाता था। ये दूसरा जो पैराग्राफ अभी हमने पढ़ा ये वाला, इसमें हमने बात पढ़ी कि इसके बाद الیگزینڈر دی گریٹ کا زمانہ آیا. یہ فلپ کا بیٹا تھا اور فلپ جو اس کا باپ تھا اس نے ایک امپائر بنانا تھا، سلطنت بنانا تھا اور اس پہ عمل درآمد شروع کیا، فتوحات کی. الیگزینڈر دی گریٹ جو کہ ارسطاٹل کا شاگرد تھا اور ارسطاٹل کے لیے بڑی ریسپیکٹ بھی رکھتا تھا، لیکن یہ فلاسفر نہیں تھا، یہ فائٹر تھا، کانکرر تھا، اور یہ گریک بھی نہیں تھا، ایتھن کا نہیں تھا، ایتھینین نہیں تھا، بلکہ اس کا تعلق میسیڈونیا سے تھا اور یہ میسیڈونین تھا. لیکن یہ اپنے آپ کو فخر کے طور پر یونانی گریک سمجھتا تھا اور اس پہ فخر کرتا تھا، کیونکہ اس کے خیال میں یونانی لوگ ہی سب سے زیادہ سویلائزڈ تھے اور ان کی طرح سویلائزڈ اور کوئی نہیں تھا، اس کا خیال یہ تھا. تو اس نے یونان کو بھی فتح کیا اور مختلف حصوں کو فتح کرنے کے بعد یہ اس کا مشن تھا مختلف علاقے فتح کرنا، لیکن ساتھ میں مشن یہ بھی رکھا کہ ہم اور لوگوں کو سویلائز کریں گے یونان یعنی گریک لوگوں کی طرح، کیونکہ اور لوگ سویلائزڈ اس کے خیال میں نہیں تھے. تو اس نے سیریا کو اور شام جس کو کہتے ہیں فتح کیا، ایجپٹ مصر جس کو کہا جاتا ہے، پرشیا کو، ان علاقوں کو فتح کرنے کے بعد یہ ملتان تک پہنچا. تو ملتان تک پہنچنے کے بعد اس کی آرمی تنگ ہو گئی، ان کو گھر یاد آنے لگا، تھک گئے. اور دوسرا یہ کہ ان کا خیال یہ بھی تھا کہ ہمارا کام تو دنیا کو فتح کرنا تھا اور یہ دنیا کا آخری حصہ ہے ان کے خیال میں، کیونکہ نقشوں میں یہ علاقہ دنیا کا آخری سرا سمجھا جاتا تھا اور یہ پرانے میپس میں یہ آخری جگہ سمجھی جاتی تھی. تو انہوں نے مزید آگے جانے سے انکار کیا کہ ہم واپس جائیں گے، اور الیگزینڈر جو ہے یہ آج کل کا جو بغداد ہے یہاں پر مرا اور اس کی ایج 32 ایئرس تھی. تاہم اس کو معلوم یہ ہوا کہ نہیں، یہ صرف یونان بہترین سویلائزیشن والی جگہ نہیں ہے، بلکہ اور بھی جگہ ہیں اور باقی لوگ باربیرس نہیں ہیں، بلکہ ان میں بھی سویلائزیشن ہے. مصر کی سویلائزیشن قدیم سویلائزیشن ہے، انڈین سویلائزیشن قدیم ہے. اس نے تسلیم کیا کہ یہ میری غلطی تھی کہ میں نے صرف یونان اور اس کے لوگوں کی سویلائزیشن کو سب سے بہترین سمجھا اور دوسروں کو باربیرک سمجھا. اب اس کا مشن یہ تھا کہ تمام اچھی سویلائزیشن سے بہترین کوالٹیز لے کر وہ ایک سویلائزیشن ترتیب دے گا، لیکن وہ زندہ نہ رہا اور 32 ایئرس کی ایج میں وہ مر گیا. So this was all about these two paragraphs. In the next paragraph, we will talk about the other civilization which came into existence, and the center of that civilization was Alexandria. This civilization was different from the Greek civilization, and the artists and poets of this area, of this age, were also different. The center was the place called Alexandria, the name of a place in Egypt, and a new kind of art and literature was developed. But there was a problem with this art and literature. It was very inferior to the Hellenic civilization as far as art and literature is concerned. Longinus calls this civilization the literature of this age as Attic literature. Attic literature was quite inferior in quality as compared to the literature of the Hellenic civilization, because the Attic literature took only the outer form from the Greek civilization, and they did not take their spirit. So it was only the dress which was taken from the Greek writers, not the spirit. And this was the major problem with literature or ethic literature, that in this type of literature, there was the outer form which was similar to the Greek, but the spirit, which is the best part of literature, was not like the Greek writers. Uh, Longinus saw all this, that the Attic literature was not as good as was Hellenic literature, and therefore he wanted to correct it. He tried to revive the um, actual Hellenic literature as contrasted with the Attic literature. Some people believe, critics, that he belonged, Longinus, to the 3rd century AD, and some believe to the 1st century AD. So this was the background, the historical background to Longinus on the Sublime. ये आखिरी जो पैराग्राफ हमने पढ़ा, और ये इम्पोर्टेंट है क्योंकि इसमें एक नई सिविलाइजेशन, तहजीब उभरी, और इसका सेंटर अलेक्जेंड्रिया था। ग्रीक सिविलाइजेशन से ये मुख्तलिफ सिविलाइजेशन थी, और इसमें जो लिटरेचर आया वो भी आर्ट और लिटरेचर मुख्तलिफ किस्म का था। मुख्तलिफ किस्म का यानी हेलेनिक लिटरेचर से कम दर्जा लिटरेचर था, और लॉन्जाइनस ने इस किस्म के लिटरेचर को एथिक लिटरेचर का नाम दिया। एथिक लिटरेचर में ख़राबी ये थी कि इन्होंने जो बैरूनी फार्म था ग्रीक राइटर्स का वो तो लिया, लेकिन जो स्पिरिट था ग्रीक राइटर का वो छोड़ा। तो असल चीज़ तो स्पिरिट है। लॉन्जाइनस ने ये बेड़ा उठाया कि वो इस एथिक लिटरेचर को ठीक करेगा और ये रिवाइव करेगा हेलेनिक लिटरेचर को और उसकी स्पिरिट को भी, और इसको देखते हुए, जहन में रखते हुए उसने ऑन द सब्लाइम लिखा, ताकि स्पिरिट और बॉडी, आउटर फॉर्म दोनों ये हेलेनिक की तरह हो जाए। हमारा नेक्स्ट लेक्चर यही होगा कि आया ये 3rd सेंचुरी BC से ताल्लुक रखता था लॉन्जाइनस, या ये 1st सेंचुरी BC ने, 3rd सेंचुरी AD से या 1st सेंचुरी AD से ताल्लुक रखता था। ये कंट्रोवर्सी हम नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में डिस्कस करेंगे। नाउ talking about all this background once again, in this background to Longinus, background to on the Sublime, the historical background, we talked about the great age called Hellenic Age, in which the great philosophers like Aristotle, Plato, and Socrates lived, in which the great dramatists like Euripides, Aeschylus, and Sophocles lived, and great poets like Homer lived. That age was called Hellenic Age. They also developed the best system of democracy, and that was the glorious age which came to an end with the death of Aristotle. So Aristotle was the last representative of this best age. Then Alexander came, who was the student of Aristotle and respected him, but he was not a philosopher. He was a very good fighter and conqueror, and he was not a Greek person. He was not a Athenian. He did not belong to Athens. He belonged to Macedonia, so he was a Macedonian. But he was proud to call himself a Greek. He considered himself a Greek and he conquered many parts of the world. His mission was, of course, to conquer the world, but also to civilize other people because he thought the other people were uncivilized. Only the Greek people were civilized. So he conquered in the beginning Greece, then Syria, Palestine, Egypt, reached Multan, and then the army felt homesick. And they also believed that Multan is the end of the world because in the old maps it was shown as the end of the world. So, as the world was now conquered, therefore they had to go back to their homes because they felt homesick. Alexander died in Baghdad at the age of 32, uh, a young boy of 32, and he also in his life came to know that the other people of the world were also not barbarous, and there were great civilizations. For example, Egypt was an old civilization. The same was the case with Indian civilization. He admitted his mistake in considering all these civilizations barbarous. Now his mission was to combine the best in all these best civilizations and make a single civilization with that, but he died at the age of 32. Then came another civilization, the center of which was Alexandria. This is an important area of this historic background. This civilization was inferior to the Hellenic civilization as far as literature is concerned. Longinus calls this the literature of this age as Attic literature, and this literature was quite inferior to the literature of the age called Hellenic age. Um, and this Attic literature, as was called by Longinus, had the outer form of Hellenic age literature, but the spirit was not that. And this was now the mission of Longinus to revive the spirit of Hellenic age. And that's why he wrote on the Sublime. Some say he belonged to the 3rd century AD, and some say Longinus belonged to the 1st century AD. This will be discussed in our next lecture. Thank you and good luck.